This is a video response to batgirlbabs about what got me into comics. When I was a kid, I would watch reruns of the old Super Friends cartoon, as well as Batman the Animated Series, the Spider-Man cartoon, the X-Men cartoon, and every superhero cartoon that my dad had taped for us. I also played a few Sega video games, like there was a Justice League Task Force game, an X-Men game, I think, a couple of X-Men games, Spider-Man, Batman, different ones. Growing up, I didn't have a lot of comic books, but I do remember the first one that I ever read. It was like 5 comics into one small book. The stories were like very Silver Age. As I got older, I stopped liking comic book characters. I was done with superheroes. I had no interest in them anymore. To me, they were just a bunch of guys who ran around in bright costumes who punched the villains, and you know, I grew out of that. It wasn't that exciting to me anymore. Then when I was 13, I was flipping through the channels, and on the TV Guide channel, it was talking about a show called Smallville. I'd seen previews for it, but it just looked like, you know, they were making fun of Jesus hanging on the cross or something. How it came on, that's all I remember. But then they started talking, and they had Annette O'Toole, who played Martha, on the show, but she was Lana Lang in the 3rd Superman movie. They started talking about how it was a young Clark Kent and his time on the farm, and there wasn't anything on TV, so I turned it to the WB and began to watch the show. I was very surprised at how much I liked it, because when I was growing up, I hated Superman. He was too much of a goody-goody, and he had all these powers and could do anything, and I hated how Lois Lane always ran out into trouble and he saved her, and I was like, gosh, just let her get what she has coming to her. That's what I was thinking. I was a kid then, though, so, you know. But I didn't like him at all. When I was a kid, I liked Captain America, Batman, Spider-Man, and Wolverine. Those were the characters that I liked. But Smallville showed me why Clark acted the way he did. It showed me why he was such a Boy Scout, and it showed me what made him the world's greatest hero. Smallville made me a better person, because I took a lot of these lessons to heart that was taught on the show. I know that you shouldn't do that, but I was very careful with which ones that I did. But I truly believe it made me a better person. I saw why Clark had to be this great person, why he did the things he did, why he saved Lois Lane all the time. I mean, it was just a great show. I loved it. I love it still. I still watch it. But around season 5, I started to actually like Superman. Before that, I just liked Clark Kent. I had always said, I'm not a Superman fan. I'm a Smallville fan. That's what I would tell people at school, because, you know, it was the truth, but also I didn't want to get made fun of. Yeah, you know. But once they brought in other elements of the Superman story, and they modernized it and made it cool, it got me excited about Superman and his mythology. When I turned 16, when I turned 16, I was able to drive myself. I went to the comic book store, and I was looking around, and I picked up a stack of Batman comic books. It was a pretty good deal. I got like 15 for $20. I remember. That's why I got it, because I got so many for such a, you know, it was a reasonable price. So I brought that, and I read those, and I think one of the issues was Batman Year One, and that was really good. So I went back to the comic book store. Still didn't really want to get Superman, but I looked through and picked up Captain America, the same kind of deal for that. Got a lot of comics for not a bad price, and that's why I was getting them, because I wanted so many at one time. But then I went back, and I was going to try and get another set like that, but they didn't have any good comics that I really wanted. So I went and I looked on the shelf, which had all the new comics that came out that week, or the last few weeks, and I looked over, and there was a few issues of Batman Superman written by Jeff Loeb. It was the Supergirl story arc. that Michael Turner wrote, which he was one of my favorite writers. Rest in peace. But anyway, I picked up the book because it just looked really cool. It had Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman, and they were all fighting on Apocalypse against Darkseid, and had an evil Supergirl on one of the covers. It looked really cool. I got numbers 11 and 12, I think it was. Something like that. And when I went home and read them, my gosh, I was blown away at how good they were. From then on, I've kept going back to the comic shop, and I bought more and more. But anyways, Smallville is what really got me into comic book. It's why I am the comic book fan that I am now. Right now, though, I'm only reading, the Superman titles, Superman, Action Comics, World of New Krypton, Supergirl. Supergirl's really good. I like it. And I'm reading The Flash Rebirth, and I picked up Blackest Night. It's really good too. So is Flash Rebirth. Anything Jeff Johns writes, I like to read. So, like everybody, I guess, though. Well, that concludes what got me into comic books. Message me, and we can talk about some of our favorite comics. Maybe see if we like some of the same things. Also, check out my other videos. I made a Superman teaser trailer for what I would like for the next Superman movie to be. And also, I made a Justice League storyline video. Yeah, that concludes it. I like your videos. New subscriber. Alright, talk to you later.